respect. Of course, when it comes to politics, he is known as a seasoned politician. And he descends from what you call maybe the Ashanti political elite, stemming from his father's notable achievement in the Ashanti region and the UP tradition. So he grew up watching his father, Dr. Alexander Atta Kyerematen, take up various roles, becoming the founder and first director of the Center for National Culture in Kumasi, getting appointed as the mayor of Kumasi and the commissioner for local governments between 1966 and 1969 during the National Liberation Council regime. And so you could say that for this man that I'm honored to be speaking to today, he was born ready for the political terrain, because by 1992 he was selected to chair the newly established Young Executives Forum in the NPP, nominated in 1996 to run in the presidential primary, save for the fact that some party leaders asked him to step aside and throw his support behind some of the senior politicians within the party. But for you and I, the young millennials, I'm sure that the first time we really paid attention to this man was in 2007 when he gained the moniker Alan Cash. And of course, he attempted to represent the party, the NPP party, hoping to go into the general elections. He polled 32.3% of the votes against Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who polled about 47. Well, he did not go ahead to contest in the runoff, whichever way. But November 4 would have given him that chance to really test his popularity, not just within the party, but eventually nationally. But then he pulled out of that race, and he cited a number of issues, of course, saying that it was strategically skewed to favor one particular candidate. And so now he's declared his quest to go independent, and he says it's all about Ghanaians. He talks about GTP, he talks about movement for change. Why does he want to be president at all costs? And what really is his plan for Ghanaians moving forward, knowing clearly well that we haven't been too happy with how governance has gone in the last couple of years? I'm honored to be speaking to former Minister of Trade and Industry and now presidential independent candidate, Alan John Kyerematen. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Good.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, and you?
I'm not bad at all. I'm honored to be speaking to you this morning.
Very well.
I mean, I don't think it came as a surprise when you announced that you were going independent. A lot of people had whispered here and there that we were suspecting that that could be the next announcement.
Next big move.
Next big move.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I just want to find out from you, do you think that this was the right decision to make?
Yes, sorry, and let me say thank you for the opportunity for this interview. I've been in the political game for a very long time, and I've been very strategic about how I've positioned myself over the years. I also have a very strong professional background. So you may say that I'm not a typical politician. So I'm a politician, but I also have a professional background.
Yeah.
And having been in frontline politics for all these years, it was time for me to move on, to be the agent of change and transformation in our country. Yes, we can argue that, but you can bring change, you can bring transformation when you're a minister. That is true.
Yeah.
But I've served in 2 administrations. I've proved my worth. And there's a sense in governance that would tell you that at the highest level of executive authority, that's if you occupy the seat of the presidency, that is the point and level at which you have absolute opportunity and control to make that change and transformation occur. So basically that is what has driven me first to make that decision to contest for the presidency.
To have control.
Yes, no, I'm saying that if you're occupying the highest level of executive authority, which is the presidency, then you're in the best position to become that agent of change and transformation. I would have wished that I would have used the vehicle of the party that I helped to establish, which is the New Patriotic Party. But for various reasons, which I think I've made clear, different circumstances, I've decided that I'll go directly to the people of Ghana and make my case.
I see, but then if you talk about control, then again it comes to the issue of the power within the party and who gets to control it at one point or the other. You didn't have that?
No, maybe you've misunderstood the point I was making.
Okay.
I was saying that I want to be the agent of change and transformation in the country. And my view is that at the highest level of executive authority, you are in the best position to effect that change.
Okay. And
so it's not change within the party.
Okay.
Yes.
I see.
We are talking about the move towards the presidency.
But why did you choose the butterfly to represent this move?
First, because if you know how the butterfly is engineered genetically, it symbolizes change, it symbolizes transformation, it symbolizes hope and then positivity. So it is aligned to this whole process that I want to lead, the process of change and transformation. And there could be no better reflection of this than the butterfly, if you know how the butterfly evolves.
Okay. Do the colors represent anything at all?
The colors, the symbol is a monarch butterfly symbol.
Okay.
And the golden color in it symbolizes our natural resource endowment, which is gold.
Okay.
Yes, and you find traces of black in there. And I believe that Ghana still is the black star of Africa. And I hope that if I become president by the grace of God, that Ghana will rise again and become the shining star of Africa, which we were once many years back.
But again, if you look at the choice of butterfly and all that, a lot of people are saying that you've been too laxed in the past. I mean, wanting to be president and knowing that...
Too laxed in what sense?
Well, too relaxed. I mean, even when you announced the GTP plan as well, a lot of people were saying that they were hoping to hear from you. They were waiting for some vigorous campaign.
Yes.
But we weren't hearing from you as much.
You're right. You know, the appetite for that type of discourse in Ghana, you know, very substantive discourse, is very low. People would celebrate discourse on things that, in my very humble opinion, does not allow us to get into the substance of, let's say, our development agenda. I mean, I could sit in an interview and majority of the people listening to me might be interested in discussions that has no relevance to how we move this country forward. Maybe that's what people like to hear. You know, I mean, I would wish, for example, that in this interview, we get into the substance of what I want to do to change Ghana and to transform Ghana.
Okay. You want to get into that. But
no, I'm saying that...
Before we get into that, there are quite a number of questions that we have to ask you, and I'm sure you're very much aware of that.
Don't worry.
You're very much aware of that. But yesterday, I'm sure you monitored the press conference, if you had time, of the NPP. And I listened to the General Secretary carefully, and he said that from everything that has happened, you did not even inform the party of your intention to resign and go independent, even though they had tried to address the concerns that you raised in your statement.
Well, that's why I was saying that let us use our executive time to discuss things that will move this country forward. If the General Secretary is lamenting over whether I informed him or not about
Well, he
my
says you didn't
decision,
inform the party.
Well, I mean, a party, whether through the General Secretary or the party. Was there a responsibility or requirement on my part to inform them? I've written to them that I'm exiting from the process to elect a presidential candidate. I wrote to them, and I also gave an indication that at a later point in time, I would inform the general public about the role I want to play in politics in Ghana. And I've done so. So I'm not sure what the problem is with the
So there was
general
nothing wrong with
sketching.
how you decided to go about announcing it?
No, why not?
Because
I
they are
mean,
sort of indicating that you did that clandestinely.
clandestinely? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Look, I'm a politician, and I'm in politics to serve the people of Ghana. I've done that over the years through the NPP. I've given an indication that for a number of reasons, I'm exiting from the party. And I want to make an appeal directly to the people of Ghana. So why are we getting into a debate on whether I inform the party that what does that mean to inform the party? I've written to the party, through the chairman, that I'm honorably resigning from. So what else is required administratively? If I'm part of an organization and I want to exit, the administrative requirement is for me to write to them. Okay. I've done so.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the discussion is around informing them. I've informed them. That's the administrative requirement.
I see. Well, just a quick one and a reminder that we're also live on 3FM 92.7. We're streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. Remember that you can also send in your questions, your concerns. We have Alan John Kyerematen here with us, and he's answering all the questions that you have been asking on social media, as well as telling us all about the movements for change and the great transformational plan and what he has for us as Ghanaians. But
Bella, before we get into that,
yes,
I have a strong reservation with the description that I left the party clandestinely.
Well, I'm just deducing from what they said that you didn't tell them.
Not
okay.
you. I'm talking about whatever the representation that they are making,
They said it was premeditated. Even when they were trying to address your concerns.
We don't need to get into that discussion. I mean, very respectfully. So that's my view. I've given them an indication that I'm resigning honorably from the party. Yes, but to put a negative slur on the fact that I did not inform the party, it's a bit strange for me.
Did you inform at least some of the other leaders of the party? For example, former President
why do we have to have a public discussion on who I talked to about exiting from the party?
Okay.
Is that a subject matter that we should have a discussion on?
Well, people are interested, and based on that press statement as well, which is why we're asking that. But whichever way, there are some within the party and even without the party who are saying that this is the second time that you have resigned from the party. The first time it happened, the national chairman, of course, he also served as national chairman for the NPP, BJ Darocha. He had issued a statement where he was saying that there was no need to bring you back in because you will become a disruptive factor, a stumbling block, and a loose cannon, and that they should let you go. Now, there are some party members and even people outside the party who are saying that he's been vindicated after many years because exactly what he itemized, that's what they're seeing happen now.
I've always had a challenge with having, interviews because somehow I feel that we can make better use of the interview time discussing substantive matters that will move our country forward. I'm saying this very respectfully because I had an interview yesterday and the same issue came up.
Yeah.
And I responded to it. But I can understand this is a different platform. So it might require me also to go through the same exercise. I was a founding member of the NPP. In fact, when the party was established, the leaders of the party at that time were either coming back from exile or coming back from detention. So many of the frontline leaders of the party were financially incapacitated. It took a group of young business executives and professionals who at that time, I would say, were in their elements. And that group was called the Young Executive Forum. And I happen to be the chairman of the Young Executive Forum. This is 1992. And it was the Young Executive Forum which I chaired. My secretary was Barredo, Honorable Barredo of blessed memory, former Minister of Finance. This was the group that bankrolled and provided the financial resources to get the party to have that stability at this birth. So fast forward, we worked at different levels. I, for example, was one of the young members of the National Executive Council of the party, the National Executive Committee. I also served on several committees. So I was an important man
I can see
in the party right from the beginning, in 1992. Right down to 2001, I played a leading role in supporting our campaign to get President Kufuor elected. Now, President Kufuor asked me to be one of his cabinet ministers. Unfortunately, I refused. And he was not happy about it.
Why did you refuse?
Because I told the president at that time that, look, I'm in this game not for political benefit in that sense. I wasn't looking for a job. I was working for the United Nations at that time. So I suggested to him that you should give those positions to other people and allow some of us to sit back so that if things are not going well, I have the courage to tell him. He wasn't happy, but somehow he agreed. But then he came back 2 months later and suggested that I should become the first ambassador to the United States. I was very reluctant at that time. He found it very strange for people in politics to refuse such, appointments. But later on, I agreed to go to the United States as ambassador. But before I went, I initiated a new program which was going to be a paradigm shift for our country, which was called the Presidential Special Initiatives. So whilst I was in Ghana before I went to the United States, I was leading that effort. In the United States, the president asked me to come back to take over the Ministry of Trade and Industry so that I could continue to nurture this new, I would say, initiative, the Presidential Special Initiative. So I did that. From 2003 to 2007, I think, generally speaking, it's acknowledged that those were some of the best years in Ghana because private sector was booming and it made a lot of impact on jobs, on prosperity in Ghana. And in all humility, I can say that I take pride in the fact that I was leading that effort. I decided to contest together with 16 other colleagues.
Delegates,
and these were, the champions of our party at that time. We went into an election and there were only 2 of us left at that time. Nana Akufo-Addo, at that time, foreign minister, and Kyerematen I was the Minister for Trade and Industry. We were supposed to go into a runoff. But I took a very strategic decision that in order to save the party from disintegration, that I'd rather support the president, or no, the candidate
then.
at that time, or the aspirant, because he was still the aspirant. So I did that.
Okay.
And we avoided what could have been a very serious calamity in our party.
If you had gone for the runoff, there would have been calamity within the party.
Yes, because the party was almost on the brink of disintegration. And I believe that would have nailed it much further. And I mean, again, I think that is one of the biggest sacrifices that anybody could make. After having campaigned for 3-4 years, with all the resources, people behind me, and just taking a decision that to save the party, I would rather support my other colleague. I mean, that's a big decision.
Yeah.
But I did that, and I'm proud that I did that. Somehow I feel that it was by divine inspiration.
So in hindsight, you don't think that maybe you should have gone ahead with it?
Well, I feel that it was divinely inspired.
Okay.
So, but that's behind us in history. But I'm making this known because you've asked me to explain.
Yes.
Now, immediately after the elections, the Congress, my understanding was that having made this supreme sacrifice, that we're all going to work together to support the candidate. But then, very strangely, instead of my decision being seen as a positive one, there were serious attempts to alienate my supporters.
By who?
By the leadership of the party at that time. And it was clear. I mean, this is common knowledge in the party. Look, can you imagine that for somebody who has been such a dominant figure in the party, having made that sacrifice? I was in my office one evening. I turned on the television, and they were launching the campaign for the newly, I would say,
elected candidate?
Elected candidate.
That was Nanado at the time?
Yes, Nanado at that time. Inaugurating the campaign team and the campaign for the candidate. And the one who was the MC said, you can see all the big men in the party are here, except Alan Kyerematen, who has traveled out of the country.
When you were in the country?
I'm sitting in my office.
You were not informed about this?
Otherwise, why would I be sitting there? It was a series of things that made it very clear that in spite of what I thought was a positive gesture that I made, that people were still very uncomfortable with Alan, because I have a strong personality. There's no doubt about that.
I've heard that too.
Yes, but why not? That's just me. I'm calm, but I have a strong personality. So right from that time, it was clear that Alan somehow and his followers were being seen as disruptive, you know. And I found it very strange, because we were the ones who were rather supporting the candidate to bring peace into the party. And it went on for a very long time. At a point where I made a decision that when people commit themselves to support me, I have a responsibility to protect them.
Okay.
I made representations to the leadership of the party in several ways, but it went unheeded. So I made a decision that, well, I have no choice. If my presence in the party is going to continue to create tension and division in the party, then what was the point in me making that sacrifice? Then I might as well step back and then give people the peace to go on. So I gave notice of my resignation. Now, as soon as I did that, the then chairman of the party requested Mr. B.J. Darocha, because I'm only speaking to this because,
yes, because
requested Mr. B.J. Darocha to try and then get me to tell my side of the story,
okay,
with a view to helping deal with the matter. So I went to see him. I told my side of the story. My understanding was that he was now going to listen to other key players in the party and then make a determination as to how we could resolve it. If I was not a valuable asset to the party, I'm sure they would have said, well, if you want to resign, just go.
Let's go.
But lo and behold, within a couple of hours, Mr. Darocha had made a statement to the effect. What you just
what I
read.
just read, that you were going to be a disruptive person and a loose cannon.
Yeah, a loose cannon. So I went back to him and I put it straight to him that you have no right, no business to make that statement. You are a very respectable man. I've made my case. How do you then proceed to make that judgment?
Yeah.
So in actual fact, I called his bluff. And I don't regret that I did that. And it was when I called his bluff that they realized that things were going to get out of hand.
Okay.
And then the party chairman then requested a full committee now. They forgot about Darocha and then requested a full committee chaired by another past chairman, Mr. Odoi Sykes,
okay,
to then interrogate the matters that I had complained about. When I appeared before the committee, I didn't even spend more than 5 minutes. And the chairman concluded that the party needed to plead with me to rescind my decision.
So they understood your concerns?
Not that they just understood my concern. They actually pleaded with me and asked me, prevailed upon me to rescind my decision, which I did. And then after that, I was one of the strongest campaigners for the then candidate, Akufo-Addo. So there's been that history. And it is strange, it is difficult to understand why that animosity against somebody who has been a founding member of the party, have played a key role in the party, has had to go on, and that's why I'm giving you this bar, for so long.
Yeah.
Anybody who is directly linked to Alan is somehow considered as an outcast.
Even up until this point?
But that's the lead on to where we are
what
now.
has happened. Which is why I'm wondering then that why did you stay on for so long if this was constantly happening?
But you're absolutely right. But it just shows you that I bid my time. And I wanted to give everybody the chance to see whether the circumstances will change. I mean, if for somebody who had been a founding member and having chaired the most important group within the party in terms of providing the financial back for the party, I didn't deserve that, you know. But somehow it happened. Now, on more sober reflection, I realized that it was coming from only one thing. There was a perceived somehow thinking in the party that the former President Kufuor, that I was being groomed to be the heir apparent.
That was the story on ground.
Yes. But I scoped for you a little bit the role that I played. President Kufuor did not bring me into politics. He did not bring me into politics. And sometimes you talk to him and he feels very hurt that for somebody who even refused a ministerial appointment from him, that people keep on talking about the fact that it was Kufuor who, as it were, brought Alan into politics. And that my going to the US and coming back was all engineered. I had a very distinguished career, both in the private sector and in the public sector, before I came into politics. Okay. At the age of 22, I was the youngest manager ever in the Unilever company in Ghana. So my record has been there. And so somehow that has been part of the problem. And I think it's unfair to President Kufuor. But unfortunately, this has continued for a very, very long time, even after, he exited.
And even beyond that, you served about 6 years in the current administration.
Oh, yes, yes.
As well, 6 long years
yes.
as Minister for Trade
yes.
and Industry.
Yes.
Things clearly weren't going right within the party based on Ghanaian sentiments. And I'm Ghanaian.
Yes.
I wasn't too happy with a lot of things.
In the party?
Well, I'm not a member of the party.
No, but
generally,
yes,
in Ghana, things didn't look right.
Yes.
And we had complained severally about those things.
Yeah.
We didn't hear you speak up about those things.
But is that what you expect a founding member of the party to do? That if there are challenges in the party, I come out openly to speak about it? Whose benefit? Not
just challenges within the party, but generally.
Oh, you mean in the country?
Generally in the country as well. I mean, you talk about the fact that for a long time, from 2007, 2008, up until now, you've been victimized, along with people who followed you.
Yes.
So imagine what Ghanaians have been through, and that's why we're asking that, why has it taken you so long to speak up and endure and take up a position within this government, even when all this was happening to you and Ghanaians were also struggling?
Yes. Well, but if I'm part of, let's say, a group at the very senior level, I don't think it is appropriate for me to come out to criticize the government when I'm aware of the challenges and whatever was going on. As I said, I've been a senior member of the party. The last thing I would do is to claim that I had no knowledge of whatever was going on.
So you were very much aware of everything?
I was very much aware of everything. But I'm suggesting to you that it is not appropriate. I mean, if some people would have taken a different view, that you are part of it, and then you come out and you are making noise about the government, then why would you not step out?
Sir, there were young people who didn't have jobs.
Sorry?
There were young people who didn't have jobs. The health sector was struggling. I mean, literally every aspect of the economy was struggling. And you're saying that as a senior member, there was no way you could have come out to speak about some of these things that Ghanaians are speaking about. How then do we trust you now that you're coming out to say you want to be president and you care about Ghanaians?
I think that there's time for everything. Now, it's a process that you go through in governance. When you need to speak about an issue, you find the appropriate time to speak about it.
Okay.
Especially when you are aware of the circumstances that have given rise to the situation that you find yourself in. So I'll give you a typical example.
Okay, sir.
But let us also not make it as if the MPP, right from the beginning, had a very bad record. That is not so. I would dispute that.
Okay.
Because, to be fair to the party and our president, remember we came into office at a time when the country was on an IMF program. Within a matter of 2 years, we were able to exit from the IMF program, which at that time was unprecedented. We were able to exit from the program, and between, I would say, 2018 and 2020, we recorded one of the highest growth rates in our economy. We had introduced the free SHS program, which was an innovative program.
Which you say you will review extensively.
I had introduced the One District, One Factory program. There was a planting for food and jobs. There were massive infrastructural projects going on. The port rehabilitation project was completed. So all these were very significant achievements of the party.
Slogans or achievements, sir?
Sorry?
Were they just slogans or achievements? Because
but
if you listen to word on the street, they tell you that, I mean, 1D, 1F, one district, one warehouse, free SHS, all these have been just slogans that have landed us where we are today.
Are you serious about what you are saying, that free SHS was a mere slogan? You see, people make pedestrian comments about issues when they have, I mean, is that what we are saying? That free SHS was a mere slogan?
So I've listened to parents who have complained incessantly about the level of education and the time that their children even spend in school and how they come out of school and now they have to pay extra money to teachers to teach their kids.
I agree with you that there were implementation challenges and still are implementation. But does that mean that it is a slogan? The free SHS is a slogan?
Is it not? I mean, a lot of people have described all these as sloganeering within the NPP and not really showing work on ground.
But that's why I was explaining that until it became obvious that we were going on the wrong tangent, there was no need for me to come and criticize the government.
At what point did we realize we're going on the wrong tangent?
No, just also to, how can 1D, 1F, One District, One Factory, which was my brainchild, how can somebody say that it is mere slogan? Because people make those comments, they have absolutely no idea what the program is about. You know, I mean, talk is cheap because you can say, oh, it's just a mere, political slogan. But do they even understand what the program was meant for? And have they taken their time to interrogate the success or otherwise of the program? So you find TV3 going to take a picture of one factory somewhere that admittedly may have challenges. You have almost 300 factories that have basically been the outcome of the unprecedented in the history of Ghana.
Okay.
So you just choose one factory where you may have challenges with operations, and then that becomes the verdict on the whole program.
So it wasn't one factory. It was a number of factories. The Fourth Estate put out a statement. They had visited some of these factories.
How many?
They had visited quite a number of them.
No, you see, let's get, you see, when you say quite a number and you're unable specifically...
Let me just mention. Yes. Okay, and I'll list them for you.
Okay.
And this report was put out on 31st of March, 2023. So this was just a few months ago.
Yeah.
They visited the Western North region, Akontumba rice processing, which had grown weeds. There was really nothing happening there. And then Bia West, I mean, they talked about that. Central region, they also went to this factory. So the factory was supposed to process orange-fleshed potatoes into biscuits. This was Casa de Ropa factory.
Yeah.
That also wasn't working. Then you go on to another one, which is the Comenda Sugar Factory, which up until now, we're told that by April...
So how many?
No, I'm coming. I'm still listing them.
But,
I'm still listing them.
Let's say...
There are quite a number of them. If you go to the Ashanti region, as Samoa and Yamua Farms is one of them.
Let's say you have 80 of them. You have 80 of them. Why is TV3 not talking about the positive ones? Why are they... You see, I think that media houses, you have a role to play in development. Obviously, yes, I mean, if things are not going well, it is part of your responsibility to bring this up.
Okay.
But you need a balance in your reportage. So you go and then you look at, let's say, one of the factories that, yes. Did you make an effort to interrogate what the challenge was? So you talk about Akotombra rice factory.
There's Unij Garments, there's Spring Bowls Company. I'm still listing a couple of them, say. But this is an opportunity for you as well to also tell us the successes chalked under one district, one factory.
I think that, I don't want to make a blanket judgment on, on this matter. But do we have time? If I want to talk about, Ghanaians, we don't even celebrate our own successes. When I used to travel around the world with the president, in matured economies, Germany, US, the first thing that they mentioned, which they believe was innovative and something that Ghana should be proud of, is the one district, one factory initiative.
I see.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
This you're talking about the most powerful economies in the world. The first thing they talk about is not free SHS.
Okay.
One district, one factory. Now we are here, TV3 goes round to take,
It's not just TV3, the media houses. And this is the fourth estate reports that I'm giving you.
Okay, all right.
On some of these factories that they have visited.
Some of them, like
which are not working, etc. So that's what I'm saying that, sir, honorably and respectfully, you are here.
Yes.
You led the ministry.
Yeah.
And the ministry drove one district, one factory.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the successes that you chalked.
But
because you listed some of them.
But you see, very respectfully, I don't think it's appropriate for us to invest executive time to discuss one district, one factory, and all the negative things about the
we have
government.
moved on from the negativity.
No, but I'm just saying that, look, this is executive time. How much time do we have for an interview?
But this is your record in government, sir.
Yeah, but...
And you're talking about industrialization. Sorry to cut you, but you talk about industrialization in your plan moving forward if you become president. This is key.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for you to tell Ghanaians about this record that you hold as a former trade minister now wanting to be president.
No, but I'm trying to suggest to you that if we want to go into a detailed discussion on just my work in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, you need a full day.
We have the time,
no.
Do you have the time?
No, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
I'm saying that as Minister for Trade and Industry, I introduced the most comprehensive program for industrial transformation.
Okay.
10 pillars. One day, one off was a small part of it.
Okay.
One district, one factory. It was just the branding of it that basically has given it. That was a small part of it. 10 pillars. One pillar was to identify new strategic anchor industries for Ghana to diversify our economy away from cocoa and gold. Vehicle assembly, oil and gas, bauxite and aluminium, iron and steel, industrial starch, 10 new strategic anchor industries that we've introduced to diversify our economy. I mean, if we want to have a discussion on just one of the 10, I want you to get this right.
I'm listening, sir.
As Minister for Trade and Industry, I put forward a blueprint for industrial transformation. Forget even about trade, only the industry part. 10 key components of industrial transformation.
Yes, sir.
1D1F was just one small component. Another component was establishing new strategic anchor industries to diversify the economy. That particular component had 10 different, I would say, initiatives.
Okay.
One of them was automobile assembly. Automobile assembly. I'm just giving you one example out of the 10 strategic anchor industries.
Yes, sir.
Within a matter of 2 years, Ghana has been able to attract 5 of the 6 global companies, automobile companies, to Ghana. As I speak now, Toyota is producing in Ghana. They are producing Hilux. They are producing a saloon car.
Okay.
Volkswagen is here. Peugeot is here. Nissan is here. Kia is here. Hyundai is here. Hyundai is producing 5 different models. Kia is producing 5 different models. Volkswagen is producing 5 different models, all within a matter of 2.5 years. Could this happen by chance?
So how affordable are these vehicles to the regular Ghanaian?
How affordable?
Yes, please.
As the Americans say, how much money do you have to pay?
But I need to work as a young person, and if I don't have a job, and you talk about all these factories and all these cars, of course I would love to own a car.
So now you've moved.
So I'm just saying that.
No, it's fine. Look, me, I don't have a problem.
Okay.
You're doing your job, you know.
Okay.
Look, as the Americans will say, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
No, so I don't have a problem.
But how would I be
But
able
I
to
start
afford these
talking.
beautiful
You are
cars?
saying that nothing is happening. I've told you just one.
I acknowledge that, sir.
And now you have moved from oh, okay, you've done well, but how much is the cost of the car?
At least I am patting your back, sir. Yes, you talk about the assembling
But
of
why
these
don't you
vehicles.
pat it properly before you
I'm
ask
patting
about
you, said, yes, you've done a great job. But as a young person,
Yes.
I'm lucky to have a job.
Yes.
So I can afford a few things here and there.
Yes.
Now, even the things that, I would require, they've become, luxury for me because it's expensive.
Yes.
So having a car in
Ghana, but I agree
it's
with
not
you.
an easy thing. If I don't have a job,
but you
how
see,
do I see this as
but
something
you're
that's
absolutely
beneficial
right.
to me?
I know you are an advocate for youth.
Yes.
For the youth, and they love you. I know that.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ghana youth.
So, yes, I recognize myself that youth unemployment is the biggest challenge, that we have in Ghana.
Okay,
But that is the basis for the industrial transformation agenda that
Tell
I
us
was
more about
pursuing.
that. Okay.
Oh, but I started.
Okay,
but
we're going back to it
no,
now.
No, so I'm saying that if you go to the advanced economies and you start talking about job creation, it's all on the back of industrialization. The most advanced economies in the world are also the most industrialized.
Yeah.
United States, China, Japan, Korea. Why are they the most successful countries? It's because there's production.
Okay.
They've industrialized. And when you industrialize, you create opportunities for jobs. So that is exactly the kind of thing that I am interested in.
Okay.
And that was what if we had time and I was telling you, you'll be amazed. But, that is why I'm saying that you have to provide an opportunity for individuals who show that they have the vision and the competence and the integrity to make a difference. You have to give them the opportunity to rise up to the highest level of executive authority so that they can make that vision become a reality.
Okay.
Because that's when, at that level, let's say as president, you determine the priorities. You determine the priorities. If I'm president, by the grace of God, it's clear where my priorities will be.
I think you've listed them here.
Yes.
When you talk about the dominant themes for the change agenda.
Yes.
And you talk about changing the political status quo by moving Ghana beyond the duopoly of the two main political parties. Then you talk about promoting the establishment of a government of national unity, building consensus on a national development agenda, and inspiring behavioral attitudinal change in the people. Let's run through these themes.
So what I'm saying is that I'm contested as an independent candidate for the general elections in 2024.
Okay.
I don't think Ghana needs new political parties.
Okay.
What Ghana needs now is a new leader that has a big vision.
Okay.
Ghana needs a transformational leader now, not new parties. And so this whole change agenda is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I'm saying that the change is anchored on 4 different elements. The first component of the change agenda is to move Ghana beyond the duopoly of MPP, NDC. Every issue in Ghana now has been politicized. NDC, MPP. We have to make, political capital out of every issue. And we need to move beyond that as a country. It is not helping our country. And so we need that change to occur so that we move beyond the NDC, MPP duopoly. But I've also said that whilst that is important, we also need now to move towards a more united government. And so my movement, the movement for change, is seeking to establish a government of national unity.
Okay.
Where people from all walks of life, regardless of their political affiliation, ethnic and religious affiliation, labor, market women or traders, people in business, the religious leaders, both Christian and Muslim, carpenters, artisans, where all the sections of society can participate in our governance structure. Now, a government of national unity then allows us to focus as a country on one common national agenda. So it is the manifesto of Ghana, not the manifesto of MPP or NDC. So that is central to my change agenda. But what is also key is the fact that we need to build consensus around a transformation plan. And I've already put forward a major blueprint, which is the Ghana Transformational, the Great Transformational Plan,
yes.
GTP. As I speak now, the NDC, I've not heard them talk about even one single policy. So how do you bring back NDC? To do what? As I speak now.
Okay.
To come and do what? Because they've not told us what they are coming to do. You are complaining about no jobs. Have you heard the NDC articulate even one policy?
In recent times?
Well, you're talking about... No, in recent times.
Moving into the 2024.
Because we are talking about going in the future.
Yes, sir.
In the case of the NPP, we've done a lot, but we have serious challenges with the economy now. The Minister of Finance, in my view, has not given us a credible program to get us out of the kind of crisis that we have now.
Okay.
And so when I talk about going beyond the duopoly, we also need a blueprint for transformation. And I've already put forward that blueprint. And I'm seeking the support of the people of Ghana to be able to execute that plan. And I've also talked about behavioral change in Ghana.
Yes.
Because when you talk about change, it's not just about what NDC or NPP are doing or not doing right. It's us as Ghanaians, our attitude to work, the lack of discipline, the disrespect for law and order, so many things that are counterproductive as a people. So those are the different components of my change agenda. So it's not a question of Alan, just seeking to become president, but I want to be president with a change agenda. Not just a change agenda, a transformation agenda. Because when you talk about change, change represents incremental steps. But when you talk about transformation, it's a quantum leap.
Okay.
So if you take cocoa, for example, cocoa bean, when you transform it into chocolate,
yes, sir,
you get 10 times the value. So that is transformation. And that's the kind of thing we need to do. We are exporting our oil and gas without adding value. But if we're adding value to our oil and gas resources, we could produce fertilizer, we would produce plastics, we can produce bitumen, just from adding value to our oil and gas resources. So when I'm talking about transformation, particularly anchored on industrial transformation, that is the key to creating jobs for the youth. That is the key to stabilizing our currency, because once you start producing, then you enhance your capacity to export. When you export, you earn more foreign exchange. When you earn more foreign exchange, then it strengthens your currency. So all these things reinforce each other. And my GTP has 15 different components. It's not just about the economy. It's about a new agricultural revolution. It's about industrial revolution. So many different components about energy security. And we could go on.
And we could go on and on. But if I may ask, and I'm sure that you've had these fantastic plans for quite a while. I mean, you've been wanting to run for president for quite a while. During your stint with the NPP, did you suggest some of these ideas, and did they listen to you?
For example, one major component of the GTP is industrial transformation.
Okay.
That clearly was in my, I would say, within my
domain,
control. Within my control. So all the things I'm talking about, whether it's 1D1F or the new industries, at least they were there.
Yeah.
And I must say, to the credit of the president, that he was very passionate about industrialization and value addition, you know. But then I am talking about a more extensive program or blueprint of transformation, not just in industry, but in 15 other areas, which is the basis for the transformation. So and again, even at the risk of sounding a bit boastful, I'm the only political figure in Ghana that has put forward a comprehensive plan for transformation. Okay. You know. And it's unfortunate sometimes we don't celebrate our own heroes. I was the chief architect for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Maybe I don't speak enough about what I do. But I
agree.
But for somebody to have been the originator and architect of the most important project in Africa, the African Continental Free Trade Area, I mean, very respectfully, I think that that is something that not me celebrating it, but this is some of the things that we should be proud of as Ghanaians.
Okay. Now, if you talk about attitudinal change, and I want to throw this to you because, of course, you intend to lead us. When you look at the landscape within Ghana, if we have to fix one attitudinal problem that we have, what would that be? And how would you intend to do that if you become president? Indiscipline. Okay.
We are so, I mean, look, and I'm choosing that one because I have 6 or 7 areas of behavioral change that I've proposed under my GTP. Okay. But I think the lack of discipline is so pervasive, you have no idea. You know, that would be one. Okay. Of course, the respect for the rule of law, you know, and that's also a major one. The arrogance of power. And when you say arrogance of power, it's not just politicians. You know, different people at different levels. You go to maybe a government agency, and somehow people think that they are doing you a favor. So many things, but I've scoped all that in my blueprint. All right. It's a great plan. I mean, look, if people were just going to listen to me and read my plan, they'll make me president. I can tell you.
You're sure about that? But with all these ideas?
Oh, no, they're not just ideas, you know. If you interrogate them, you will see what I'm talking about.
The GTP is anchored on 10 pillars, which I've mentioned already. But of course, I want us to go into it a bit further and talking about building a strong macroeconomic environment characterized by a stable currency, low inflation, sustainable debt levels. These are things that Ghanaians want to hear. Because as it stands now, inflation is nothing to write home about. Our currency One of the weakest.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I mean, what do you intend to do to fix this? Because we are in the
It's
doldrums
very
at the
simple.
moment.
When you have a weak currency, it is the result of the supply and demand of foreign exchange. Basically, that's what it's about. So, if you are able to produce, which is what industrialization is about, if you produce more, then you can export. If you export, you earn foreign exchange. When you increase the supply of foreign exchange into your country, and you also produce what you import, meaning import substitution. Instead of importing rice, you produce locally. Instead of importing sugar, when you export more and you reduce your level of imports, it means that you have a greater supply of foreign exchange. And when you reduce your imports, it means that you are saving a foreign exchange.
Yeah.
Now, when you have an abundant supply of foreign exchange, it strengthens your local currency, because now you don't need that much of, let's say, cedis to be able to buy one unit of foreign exchange, which is, let's say, the dollar.
Yeah.
So the key to stabilizing the currency is to increase the supply of foreign exchange. And that will only come from exports. And that is why one of the things that I did when I was minister was to lead the process of developing a national export development strategy, which hopefully can bring in $25 billion from non-traditional exports by the year 2030. Yes, this is all there.
I see.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
So that once you are able to focus on exports, then you can stabilize your local currency. And I just want to throw this in.
Okay.
China is what it is now because in the late 1980s, let's say beginning of the 1990, China took 3 decisions. 1, to industrialize. 2, to export. And 3, to attract foreign direct investment. The story of the phenomenal growth of China is based on these 3 things: industrialization, exports, and foreign direct investment. I'm not saying anything different from that.
Okay.
And this is just 1990. This whole story about China from 1990. You know, so of course you are talking about inflation.
Yes.
Inflation, generally speaking, if you look at the way inflation is calculated, they have a basket of goods, as it were. And food inflation, that's in that basket of goods, that is normally used to calculate inflation. You find that one of the biggest components is food, the cost of food. And so when you have high food inflation, then your inflation normally would go up.
Yeah.
But the reason why you have high food inflation is also because you have high transport costs and you have, let's say, your productivity in terms of food production is low because maybe agricultural credit is high. So there are so many elements just in that, you know. And the kind of proposals I've made will bring inflation down to single digits within a matter of 2-3 years.
Single digits?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's all there. It's not just talk. It's the interventions are all there. And another important one is interest rates.
Okay.
You see, if you are borrowing in Ghana at, let's say, 35% or 40%, you know, interest rate, and your competitor in Europe is borrowing at 2-3%, and they are exporting, and you are producing, how can you compete? You can't compete.
You can't.
So we need also to bring interest rates down, and that's the only way the private sector can become competitive. I can tell you, this country, if we get the private sector and the business sector working,
we're good to go.
We are good to go.
We won't have a problem at all.
It is all about stimulating the growth of the private sector and making them more competitive.
So the current government probably has some of these ideas. I mean, the economic management team should understand that these are the driving factors within our economy. How are we not seeing this implemented so that life can be easier for Ghanaians?
I agree with you, and you're absolutely right. It's a question of prioritization.
Okay.
And just a question of prioritization. Please don't get me wrong. As I said, the MPP has a solid record in many areas. Where we've had a major challenge is in the way the economy has been managed.
Okay.
And even then, you know, we made considerable progress until some time. But we've not been able to manage our debt levels well. We've not been able to manage the currency well. And so that has had a ripple, multiply effect on so many things. You know, but I'm saying that for me, the key is getting the business community and the private sector working again, because that's where the jobs are going to come from.
Okay.
That is where the production is going to come from. And when you produce and you get forex, it is all getting the business community working. So for me, my great transformational plan is anchored on getting the business sector to work.
Working.
Yes.
Well, you talk about...
And then you can leave your job now and set up a one district, one factory.
I thought you were going
to... production, what do you want to produce?
And I'll get funding from government.
Yeah, you get funding and incentives.
Okay.
Because to bring in your machinery, what factory do you want to build now?
We'll talk about that later. Not until someone will steal my idea. So let me not say it now.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, good.
But we'll talk about that in chambers.
Okay,
but one of the other angles that you're also looking at, and I just want to brush on this quickly and then we can move on. Free SHS. You said there's going to be a comprehensive review of free SH. What exactly
because
are you
we've
referring
had
to?
Free SHS implemented over the last 7 years. And normally for program implementation, after 5 years, you need a review.
Okay.
So in my own thinking, I feel that it's an excellent idea. We've made a lot of progress in terms of school enrollment, you know, fantastic results.
About 1.2 million were told.
Yes, but then, you know, the cost associated with the implementation of the free SH has had a significant impact on our national budget. And so if we are going to continue with the program, we have to find a more sustainable financing mechanism
for it. Which would be?
Well, I'm saying that that's part of the challenge. So that's what the review would involve.
Okay.
Also, I think that the focus on boarding school infrastructure places an additional burden on government.
Okay.
You know, and so whilst there's value in having boarding schools, I think that one program that the NDC started, which I believe ought to be reviewed and encouraged, is the community day schools. You know, community days. That's I think that, because then that releases the kind of resource that is required to build, you know, boarding houses. So that's part of the review.
All right.
I think the other area that requires, I would say, more intervention is the link between our education curriculum and the needs of industry. You know. Okay. For example, I mean, because I've been doing this industrialization stuff, I have one of the companies that I nurtured. They produce garments for export. They have almost 5,000 workers as I speak now. Okay. So the challenge is not with the workers who are on the machines. It's with the supervisory and managerial levels. Okay. You know. So who is producing, or you know, this kind of targeted skill base to support, let's say, the garment sector. So we have to link our curriculum with the needs of industry.
Has this government not started already? I mean,
They,
there was
started,
the introduction of the Common Core program and then TVET.
Yes, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying, that the TVET itself has to be more targeted so that it is not this generic technical and vocational education. Yeah, some beginning, there's some effort that has been made, but these are the areas that we need to intensify. And last but not the least, basic education. I mean, it's great. We've been talking about free SHS and then the focus on tertiary education. But as you know, early child education is very critical. Yeah. And somehow I think that our basic education that's below, from the JHS down, they are falling through the cracks. And we need to do more. You know, whilst we support secondary and tertiary education, we need to take another look at basic education. You know? All
right. Well, let's go back to your quest to become president. And you're saying that you're running as an independent candidate. Yeah. History has not favored independent candidates. Yeah. And I'll just mention a few people within the Fourth Republic. So in 2008, the first ever independent candidate in the Fourth Republic, Kwesi Amwafo Yeboah, he only garnered 0.2% of the votes, national votes. Jacob Osei Yeboah, who we all call Joy, he got onto the ballot in 2012 and 2016. On both occasions, 0.1% and 0.15% respectively at the national level. Now, if you look at these statistics and you say that you're going as an independent candidate, are you not concerned?
No, the circumstances are different. Okay. I cannot speak for those two individuals. They are great guys, but my circumstances are different. As I said, I've been a senior member, a founding member of the New Patriotic Party, and I have traction on the ground. Remember, this is not about delegates. You know, all this noise, you know, about super delegates, and it's all just delegates. And the delegates, even the extended one, they are no more than 210,000. Yeah. But the number of people who vote in every election for MPP is 6.5 million. So for me, that is the real MPP. That is the MPP support base. So if you take the delegates out, you have like almost, I would say 5.5 million people who are sympathetic to the cause of MPP. And I believe that with the kind of vision that I have and my execution capability and my record in government internationally, you know, I believe that as an independent candidate, that I will be able to draw significant numbers from this wider MPP. Because remember, I'm not floating a new party to compete with the MPP. That's the difference. Okay. That's the difference. So if you are a voter, you can vote for your parliamentary candidate, for the MPP parliamentary candidate or NDC parliamentary candidate. But when it comes to the presidential election, I'm offering an alternative to the people of Ghana. Because, you know, in an executive presidency, power resides in one man, the president. So the president has to be elected on the basis of his own profile and his merit, not on the strength of the party. I don't know whether you're getting the logic. Yeah. The person controls all power in Ghana. So when people are making decisions on who becomes president, it must be based on the individual's own merit, not on the strength of the party. And so people can argue, as some of the people who are making negative propaganda, you know, the Alan is finished. You wait and see.
Oh, you've heard that as well.
Oh, you know, but if you're a politician, these things, you have to take them in your stride.
These are your own colleagues.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but it's still propaganda.
Oh, it's just propaganda.
No, when I say propaganda, it's what they are saying has no basis. And I can only say that let's wait and we go into the field, because they can talk and boast about delegates who they control. But I'm talking about the 6.5 million, or let's say 6 million people who are not delegates. You know, I know that a significant number of people within that category
would vote for you.
Would vote for me. And then also, we have a large floating voter public in Ghana. It's estimated almost like 25%.
Yeah.
So the people that, let's say in MPP, we count as our voters, some of them are floating voters who vote for us.
Yeah.
So...
And you're sure that they will come on your side?
Well, because I have an excellent blueprint to transform Ghana. And also, my unique selling proposition is that I have a big vision for Ghana. My competence has not been in doubt, both locally and internationally. And one of the things that I'm proud of is my record of integrity. And also, I'm an action man.
You're an action man?
Oh, but you don't know that?
Okay.
Yeah. You don't.
Well, what kind of action, sir? We want to see the action. We want to see.
This is positive action. Don't come and read.
We want to see the action. Oh, I'm not reading any meaning. I'm just asking that. What is this
positive action?
Including announcing that you are going independent and damn all the consequences.
No, and then I will tell you that this will be a watershed development in the history of Ghana. I mean, to get an independent candidate as president would be the best thing that happened to Ghana. Because here you have a referee who is an honest broker between two fighting, one elephant and one umbrella, you know, two parties fighting. And then you have an honest broker who brings the two together. You appoint ministers and other government officials from the NDC, from the NPP, from CPP, and more importantly, the wider Ghanaian public that has such great talent, but who are unable to come into government because the positions are divided on the basis of your political affiliation. It is not helping us. So you, for example, you be an excellent minister representing the young people of Ghana. Okay. Now you've forgotten about...
Oh, no. I just remembered.
You've forgotten about what you want because I'm offering you...
No, I'm not accepting it. I'm just giving myself fans. But, I mean, I do understand that. But don't you think this will still be a tough one? Look at the NPP and the NDC in Parliament at the moment. Equal numbers with one independent who sits on the side
I know,
of the NPP.
But that's the value of my proposition. Because when you have an independent candidate, when you have a president who contests as an independent candidate, then basically you are not aligned to... So your government brings to Parliament a program that is basically owned by all the political parties, including the smaller parties, and most importantly also by the labor unions, by the business community, by the churches and those Muslim and Christian. So all these identifiable groups have a role in that national program. So how can it fail? Who are you going to fight against?
But these political parties have a strong mobilization on ground. Which is something that even the smaller parties, which is why they've been struggling. Which is why independent candidates have been struggling. There have been concerns that you do not have that mobilization on ground politically to garner the numbers that you're hoping to garner in order to become president.
Oh, no, but that's not true. Because within the NPP, I mean, again, I say this very respectfully, I have a very strong grassroots following. Why is it that Alan says he's exiting from a contest? And all attention is on the man who is exiting. Why don't you forget about him and concentrate on those who are continuing? So it shows that, again, This is blessings from God. You know, everybody is interested in knowing what Alan is going, because they know I have a good heart, and I have Ghana, you know, on my heart, and I have what it takes to move Ghana forward.
Okay.
So forget about this thing about, oh, it doesn't have the base. If I don't have a base, right from 2007, as I was speaking, why would people then feel that, you know, it is good to keep Alan in the party? I mean, if there was no value to Alan. So I know, and I think that I have the rank and file of the NPP. And even in NDC,
you have people.
You'll be surprised that, you know, because I've played my cards well in politics. You know, I mean, this is just my persona, you know. I do my politics in an objective way.
Yeah.
And so you'll be surprised how many votes I'll pull from the two big parties, from the floating voters, and from but even more importantly, the youth. Because we haven't talked, but you are a youth champion. You are a youth champion. You should have been. This whole program should have been.
Don't worry, we are getting into that.
Oh,
it's a gradual process. No, it's a gradual process. It's part of my questions. But even before we go into the youth, I just want to ask you this, because you're talking about the supports that you have.
Okay.
Some of your own people who were supporting you in the primaries, now they've jumped ship.
Oh.
They say party first. And I'll give you an example. I will not say sorry. Deputy Minister of Finance. She says that even though she enjoys a personal and professional relationship with you, characterized by mutual respect and a shared commitment to our nation's progress, I must respectfully distance myself from his recent choice. Then Sly Tete, who was one of your campaign managers. I watched him before the Super Delegates Conference, touting your achievements and saying you are the man. Now he comes out on TV and says, I have engaged extensively with my constituents, people within and without, and I think I'm making a firm commitment that I will support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for the November 4 elections. David Sopoku-Ansah, another one who was speaking openly for you.
You did so much research on this.
I had to say.
Okay.
Now, he also says the decision is profoundly disappointing, which is a decision for you to go independent. He found that disappointing. It is a disheartening departure from the principles of party loyalty and unity, which are fundamental to our democratic process. These are people who were solidly behind you. They've moved on. You know, and so if you talk about still having that support, many are asking that if the ones even around you are running away after this decision, why would you be surprised? Look, these are people who are parliamentarians. They are in parliament on the basis of the ticket of the MPP. Now, I have exited from the process of selecting the leader, and I'm now exited from the party to contest as an independent candidate. Why would they still want to be outside the party? Because they are there on the ticket of the party. So I don't see it as anything negative. I mean, yes, I mean, I don't see it anything as negative, because they have no choice. They have no choice.
Yeah, they have no choice unless they are going to abandon their constituents, which I would not even encourage. Why would I say that they should abandon their constituents? Because if I wanted to float a new party to have MPs to contest, yes, I could have done that. But if they have to stay within their party, I don't have a problem. But at any rate, how many are when you talk parliamentarians, how many are there?
I mean, Catherine Afeku is not a parliamentarian anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying that whether they are parliamentary candidates or parliamentarians, how many votes are we talking about compared to? This is a general election. Remember, I'm not an aspirant now. I'm a presidential candidate now. So how many votes are we talking about? You know, how many constituencies? They are talking about 17 million people who are going to vote. So I don't have any problem. I mean, the only challenge I would have is where somebody who was working with me is going out and would make negative comments, you know.
Okay.
But other than that, I think that they deserve the right, you know, to stick with the party. I'm a founding member of the party, so that we shouldn't have any
qualms with that.
Yes.
Now let's come to your favorite topic, the youth.
Yes, yeah.
And of course, you also itemized the statistics with
Yes.
regards to the youth and how they vote and
Yes,
influence
yeah.
who eventually becomes the leader.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you said, which was profound, was Occupy Julobi.
Yes.
And you said that the phenomenon of pervasive, employment crisis is gradually becoming a national security threat, as evidenced by the Occupy Julobi demonstrations.
Yeah.
The initial reaction of the police in manhandling some protesters is not the solution.
Yeah.
What Ghana needs now is change.
Yes, yeah.
These young people who hit the streets,
Yeah.
and many of us who voiced it out on TV,
Yeah.
radio, social media, we're wondering, why did you not say anything during the demonstration? First day, when the police manhandled some of these protesters,
Yes.
we didn't hear from you. 3 days of protest, not a single word from you, sir.
Oh, well, but I made the statement at a point where it mattered. Because this basically was a national platform. And I decided and I chose to make sure that at that material moment when it mattered, that I made the point clear.
You don't think the first day is when it mattered, the second day, the third day, and you responded
Well,
days after?
one could do it differently, but I just chose that when I have the national platform, you know, I'll speak to it, because I could have done that in an interview. Nobody may have carried it, you know. But with this big platform, I knew that my voice will be heard.
So it's not that you wanted to win some sympathy, or not sympathy, but wanted to win over the young people, which is why you made the statement, and not because you really meant
No, say that
wrote.
again.
And not because you really meant what you wrote and the fact that you are for the young people.
Oh, I'm for the young people. That's why I said that.
That's what I'm asking you,
Yes.
sir. And I'm taking this from social media.
Yes,
I've asked people
Oh,
for questions.
yes, yeah.
And some of them have said that when we needed you to speak up on
Yeah.
Occupy Julobi, you didn't say a word.
Yeah. No,
Now you
but-
come back later to make a statement on it because you're announcing your bid to
Yeah.
presidency.
Yeah.
Are you only using that to sort of galvanize some support from the young people, when in actual fact,
Oh,
you
no,
should have
no.
spoken earlier?
No,
And
well,
maybe that would
I
have been
mean,
an
that's a
easier
question-
way.
No, I think it's a question of timing. You know, it's a question of timing. Of course, you know, at that time, there were other things that I may have spoken about, and as I said, I decided that this would be an appropriate time to make my voice heard on the matter. I think the important thing is making your voice heard. You know, the timing of it, somebody would say that maybe you could have done it earlier, but I did it at a time that I think was also
important.
Yes, important.
How do you feel
appropriate.
about Napco personnel and how they've been treated?
Well, in the first place, I think that, and I mean, some people may take this as a criticism, but the Napco program itself could have been better designed. You see, for example, the amount of money that was put into Napco, if we had given the same amount to, let's say, the companies in the one district, one factory companies, as a subsidy, you know, for, let's say, people who would be employed, that would have been a more sustainable way of utilizing the skills of these personnel. I don't think that the Napco program would have been sustainable anyway. You know, and I'm not surprised that we've not been able to really to. So it grieves my heart. It's unfortunate that they've gone through this program with the promise of transitioning into permanent jobs. But it ain't going to happen, because that's the way it works. If that same amount of money had been given to the private sector as an incentive to employ these same people,
Yeah.
I think it would have been a better business model.
Did you say this to them, sir?
Say that to whom?
To government, when they, I mean, there was a whole launch
we had
of
different
Napco.
views. No, we had different views on this, but I don't think that that's material at this moment.
So you were a cabinet minister?
Yeah, but I mean...
A senior one as such,
yes.
a founding member of the party
yes.
that is governing at the moment. You are a member of the economic management team?
Yes, yes. But
you should have voiced out some of these
But
things.
what I'm saying is that, you know, we have an oath of secrecy that we sign on to as cabinet ministers. And I don't think that this is the right forum for us to talk about who said what and our different views on programs.
Okay.
I hope you understand me.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, I don't think it's appropriate, you know. But just take it that is my view, that it could have been done differently.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just be fair to our viewers and read some of the comments at least. I see a lot of butterflies on the timeline. It looks like a lot of you have jumped ship now, or if you were floating, maybe you are one of the people that Honorable Alan Kyerematen is saying to you. He says, Kwesi Mensah says that, Mr. Alan, you said NDC does not have a policy. Haven't you heard John Mahama talking and giving many policies? Even if he advised your government, okay, what is your... okay, never mind. Let me just jump from that as well and read a couple of messages on another platform. So first one says that, please ask him if his wife is going to spearhead women empowerment programs to improve the livelihood of women, as Ajima Kunedu did with her husband and Jerry John Rawlings. I'll just read a couple of them so that you can respond.
No problem.
All right. Yeah. We can't discard all the injuries the elephant has inflicted on Honorable Alan Kyerematen. I wish him well. He will fly better with a butterfly than elephants. Ask Alan who started port expansion. Is it not the same NDC? This is Chris from Ashale Botre. Okay. Anonymous, he says that if the president determines the priorities, why is he taking credit for the industrial transformation agenda? And is his real objective... so his real objective is to eat into the MPP numbers to send the MPP into opposition. Oh, Alan. And I'm reading exactly that. Okay, let me move on to another message as well. Says that Alan is a good guy. Please go easy. I think we're enjoying the conversation. Are we
no
not?
problem.
Hey, we are doing that. Okay, another one. Don't get hoodwinked by the butterfly. I see. Interesting one. Maybe we can answer those two questions about your wife and whether she would take up the role.
No,
of
in actual fact, she's a very good organizer, and one of the things that she is getting ready to launch is a program for women in business.
Okay.
Yeah, women in business. I mean, so yes, the social programs are great, but she believes in that also. But she wants to focus on women in enterprise, women in business. That's the kind of slant that she wants to bring in into politics. Yeah,
I see. What about the other one? The second question that was asked.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of them coming.
Okay,
so.
Let me just go back to it again. It talks about whether you are in this... you've announced your independence to steal, or not steal, to take votes from the MPP and take them into opposition.
No. I mean, as I said, this is for the country. I mean, the position I've taken is in the supreme interest of our country. I've played my part, as I said. I helped nurture the party. I still believe in the ideals and values of the founding fathers of the party. I've explained why I've exited, you know. But I think that the interests of the country and the people of Ghana goes beyond the interests of any political party. Did you get that one? Yes, I'm saying that the interests of the country and that of the people of Ghana, that interest goes beyond the interests of any single party.
Yeah.
You know. So if by electing to become a candidate, you know, as an independent candidate, and I'm contesting for the presidency, I'm still serving the people of Ghana. And I don't feel that this is an exercise to take anything away from because as I said, my interest as an independent candidate is to build a government of national unity, in which the MPP will participate, in which the NDC will participate, CPP, all the smaller parties, identifiable groups.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't really see it that way. that I'm alienating any particular group.
Let's talk about the powers of the president and the concern that the Constitution needs to be reviewed in order to reduce how much power the president has to make decisions, to appoint into state offices, etc. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I want to interrogate it a little bit more. I feel that, you know, in an executive presidency, if you have the right person, then it's a very good model. And that is why I am, let's say, pushing for a candidate who will be voted for on the basis of merit and not on the back of a political party. If you get the right person who is interrogated and voted on the basis of his own profile and what he can do and his vision, then you would have a positive use of the executive presidency model. But if he's just the flag bearer of a political party, particularly having been selected by a small group of people, then he may not necessarily be the right person for the entire country. I don't know whether I'm making myself clear, you know. But because there's so much power vested in that individual, if the people of Ghana are voting for him on merit as an individual, then it's a good thing, because then they believe in his vision and his competence and capacity to move the country forward. So this is how I will align the thought process. You know, maybe what I'm proposing now will become a model not only for Ghana but for Africa. That when it comes to selecting presidential candidates to become president, they should come on their own merit as individuals, not on the back of parties.
Okay.
But for legislative and parliamentary elections, yes, you can have parties identifying, you know, potential people to stand as.
I see.
Yes, that for me should be the model. So we can have the political parties controlling the legislature, but the president must be an honest, independent broker so that he can bring the parties together for purposes of developing government program and projects.
I see.
So when it goes back to parliament, then there's no reason for a fight, because the NDC, the NPP, CPP, all the parties should have had inputs into government program.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Butterfly Nation, you have hijacked the comment section. So I'm trying to read comments and all I see are butterflies. Anyway, so Stephen Ora says, Alan has a good heart for Ghana, especially the youth. Abdul Rafiq, RTA Ali Mayao says, this is true. And he's a man with wisdom that Kufuor saw in him. Well, he has mentioned that, I mean, all his plans to even want to become president, President Kufuor did not necessarily have a hand in it. Watching from the Upper West region, Chief has taken a bold decision. Big up to the industrious Upper West NPP Deputy Regional Women's Organizer, Honorable Minat Mumin. Which side are you? Are you a butterfly or you an elephant? What about ministerial appointment? What would be your numbers? I've listened to Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu, Majority Leader, who has said that you don't even need more than 19 ministers to govern.
I'm working on a plan to consolidate some of the ministries so that we'll run a lean government.
Okay.
But the commitment I want to make is that 60%, at least 60% of ministerial appointments will be made for young people between the ages of, let's say, 25 or 23 to 40, 45. That is the kind of cabinet that I would like to have.
Okay.
cabinet dominated by young people. With at least 60% of them should be within that
should
range.
Be young people.
So you qualify.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No comments. When we get there, sir. But anyway, I mean, we should be wrapping up very soon. I know that a lot of comments are also coming in as well. But what is your take on asset declaration? That will be my final question to you before I allow you to speak to the public. What is your take on asset declaration? I mean, we do have a law that says that before you take up any political position or public office, declare your assets. But this same law also says that that is given to the Auditor General. And it's only when there's a matter about your finances and, of course, properties that you may have acquired, that is when they bring it up. So there's no public publishment or publishing of the document. And we've seen so many things go wrong as a result of that. What do you make of it?
I think that any person who wants to go into public office at whatever level ought to be ready to have his assets declared and published. You know, for anybody who wants to interrogate it, to do so. It is only because you are going into public office, and there must be a sense of propriety and integrity. So there should be nothing to hide. You know, if you have some reasons why you don't want your assets to be known, then you should know that that's not a job for you. But once you decide you're going to go into public office, particularly at the senior level, then I think that it's not just a question of declaration, but also wide publication of the assets.
I see. And which is something I'm sure you've done.
Yes, oh yes.
Throughout your years as a politician.
Yes, I've been around.
I see. Anyway, sir, I mean, everybody's watching you right now. You're talking about young people and how about 60% of them will serve on your cabinet.
Yes.
Which is a great one.
And senior appointments.
And senior appointments.
Yes.
They're watching you now.
Yes.
What is your message to them as we wrap up?
My message is that...
And please, this is your camera, sir.
My message is that the young people of this country are the future. And for far too long, I believe that as a country, we've not given the opportunity for our young people to lead and determine their own future. You have over 55% of the people who vote in a general election belonging to the youth group, 18 to 35. So what better testimony can we have of our commitment to the young people of this country to make them be at the center, front and back of government? And that is why my movement for change is led by the youth and is powered by the youth. I have full confidence in the capacity of young people to make a difference. At any rate, they do so for their own future. And it is my view that the movement of change, which is led by the youth, will be a very major, significant development in our country if the people of Ghana give me the chance to be able to lead this country in the general elections in 2024. So I'm in your hands, the young people of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
And we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to all these young people on social media who are saying they don't have jobs, but they are truly qualified to take up positions. So, they can actually do the work.
I know.
And so it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you all for tuning in as well. The messages were endless. I'm so sorry if I could not read any of them. I'm sure at the right time we'll pick a few and touch on it. But I've been speaking to independent presidential candidate Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen. We're not gone yet. Of course, I'm letting you go, sir.
Okay.
But we'll be back to wrap up the show entirely. It's been a pleasure. We'll be right back.
Gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo Superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has